chatting before I hit record, and I just can't take myself seriously when we chat, and I have to stop, and then we have to pretend like we're awake on recording. So anyway, that's the real deal. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awakening Stories with myself and the beautiful Kerry. And today on Awakening Stories, we would like to introduce the beautiful, radiant, spiritual sunshine. Welcome. So me and Kerry have been trying to do Awakening Stories for about a long time.
Yeah.
And we've done Kerry's, but now we've started getting people booked in. So the whole reason behind Awakening Stories is just to get people on to talk about their journey, to talk about their awakening stories, because I think it helps other people that are going through the process.
Yeah.
So very honored to have beautiful spiritual sunshine with us today. Now, I met spiritual sunshine via the interweb. Was it on JC? Was it Mark's show? How did that happen?
It was Mark's show.
Mark's show. And
but it was on your show, just in the chat.
Yeah,
first.
Met in the chat first, and then spoke to you in Mark's show. Yeah. And then you sent me a little message, and I said, do you know what? Would you like to come on and chat to me and Kerry and share your story? And you graciously accepted. So
thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Lovely to have you here. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story? How did the awakening start for you?
The day I was born. No, that's what it seems like.
3,000 lifetimes ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've always searching for the answers, and I've got such a crazy story, but I'll try to make it really fast. I was adopted.
For this in sections, so don't feel like you need to hurry.
So I was adopted into a metaphysical family, and so I always had that spiritual part of me. I was never like in regular church or whatever. And as I got into my teenage years, I was like always looking for what's the answers? Why am I here? And I never knew what the answers were. I just knew what they weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my friends would want me to spend the night, but we had to go to church on Sunday morning. And I was like, no, I don't want, I didn't like church, regular church. It just didn't jive with me. So I was just always looking. When I was 20, my biological mom found me, and she was a member of a metaphysical church also here in Colorado, because I'm from Texas originally. And everything I asked her, she answered. Everything she answered, it was like answers I already knew. You know what I mean? Like,
so
he was telling me stuff that I already knew.
So you were born into when you say metaphysical,
mm-hmm.
Can you delve into that a little bit more, just so that people understand the concept behind metaphysical?
So I don't really know exactly. So it's just not religious. It's more where you don't look to God like God is a person, or God is separate. God is like within you.
Okay.
And that kind of thing. I'm not. It's hard for me to grasp like what other people think sometimes, because that's just
so there might be a programming out there, right? That if it's not religion, it has to be a cult. Right?
Right.
No, I'm just having a conversation about it, because I think I think that's a wrong programming. I'm not saying that's correct.
Right.
But I just don't want people to think, oh, spiritual sunshine dropper cult.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
can you maybe just explain a little bit more about how your life looked then within this metaphysical structure?
Well, it's funny
Different.
because the church was in Dallas. So when I was 5, we moved. And even though we didn't go to church, I was just raised. I don't even know how to explain what it really means.
So did you have to meditate every day? Like, how did
No,
that,
there was nothing like
no.
that. No, it was just, it was pretty basic metaphysical stuff. It's just that I wasn't indoctrinated with this, what usually most churches, like, it's not that I wasn't Christian,
Okay.
but we didn't worship like Jesus. We just I felt like Jesus. Okay. I always grew up thinking that Jesus is no different than me.
Yes.
He came here to teach us what we already have, all that within us, not that we should worship him like he's a separate, like a God. It's just that we are all part of a universal.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. I'm terrible at explaining.
So like your being is like the higher power, like you're all higher powers, you're all connected to the universe, there's no difference, you're all equals. Is that what
Right.
metaphysical?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense.
Was there like a, how religions have a book? So you're saying that there was still Christian, there wasn't like a Bible or a Quran or a...
No.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I would pick up the Bible as a kid because I felt like I was supposed to, and I would read it and it made absolutely no sense.
Okay.
I could read it, but that's probably because I'm a little, ADD. Like, it's really hard for me to read a book anyway.
Listen, I've picked up the Bible a few times and I'm like, this is in a different language.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. And I never trusted the Bible as, I always felt like it wasn't the way it was supposed to be. Even as a kid, I just always felt that the words were messed with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember I was probably in like the 1st grade, I think, and I was trying to read Revelations, and it scared the living shit out of me. It did. I was terrified. So, like I said, a lot of things just didn't resonate with me like that. I didn't believe in the devil. Now I question all that, but it didn't make sense to me that there was something like a hell and a heaven, and in the way that most churches teach it, I just felt like it was all within ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so, I don't even know where to go with that now. I get distracted.
So what I find interesting is that you were adopted and then into a metaphysical family, so into a family who believed that, we're all one, I suppose, right? There was no separation, believed in love and unity. That's how I'm looking at it, right?
Yep.
What I find really, really, really interesting and is just proof to me that we pick our, our parents and our journey here is that mum, when mum actually found you, mum was also within that space. Yeah. I mean, the chances of that, in everyday life, it was,
yeah. And it's funny because she gave me up when I was a year old, and then I was adopted into my family at 14 months. So I was raised always knowing that I was adopted, and I always wanted to know who my mom was, but I never regretted or felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. I always knew, you know what I mean? I knew I would never change that ever in a million years, even though I had a really rough childhood. It was not fun, but I've always known that it led me to where I am now, and I wouldn't want that to be any different. I was just exposed to a lot of crazy things that brought me right to where I am right now. And so, yeah, it was really
Do you feel that
interesting when
being
she
raised
found me.
within a metaphysical surrounding then helped with the understanding of that and helped you to not be bitter or?
I was never bitter, never.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my dad, so I wasn't able to be with my dad a whole lot because my mom, they got divorced and my mom had custody. And so I was with him as much as I could be, but he was my whole world. You know, he was the reason I was where I was at in my family. He was the reason I was adopted, I think. And my mom too, but mostly my dad. And unfortunately, you know, he moved kind of far away, so I didn't get to go visit him, but I found out years later I knew he was connected with a guy that was Native American chief. And so he was really, really into that, but I didn't realize that he did automated writing. He would, I mean, all kinds of really spiritual stuff that I never even knew about my dad. He never told me. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. So then fast forward, I had a boyfriend, and one night I was driving home from the grocery store, and I looked up in the sky. This was like 2002. And it looked like Star Wars was going on. Like literally, there were, I can't believe I didn't have an accident because I couldn't stop looking in the sky. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it was like a battle in the sky right in the middle of town. I mean, everybody could see it, but nobody saw it that I know of. So I drove home as fast as I could, and I told my boyfriend and my friend, I said, come outside and look at this and tell me that I'm not crazy, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They both ran out and saw the same thing. I called my friend. I said, look outside. Tell me you're seeing this. So I'm calling all these people, and some of them came over, and we're like, we can't even believe what's going on. Now, we did drugs back then, but it didn't matter. We still saw what we saw.
Yeah.
That it was so insane. My boyfriend ended up
How long did that last for then? It
was all night.
Wow.
This went on all night. My boyfriend went to go help my mom because she drove. She was trying to see it, but she kept driving. I don't even know what happened, but she ended up having a flat tire. So my boyfriend went to go help her, and he never came home that night. And I knew something bad happened. So long story short, he was abducted. Yeah. It was really crazy. And my life was never the same after that. So yeah. And his was not either. There's so much I could
remember. I mean, I'm very aware I don't really want to talk about anybody else that isn't here, but did he remember? Like, did he remember the whole thing?
And it changed our lives completely forever after that.
And was it a bad experience?
He didn't think it was a bad experience, but I know that it wasn't. I don't believe that it was positive. It was something not good that got a hold of him and did stuff. And you know, because of my awareness and the church that I was with my mom here, I think I had asked you before if you'd heard of the Emerald Tablets, right?
Yeah.
And Have you heard of that book, Carrie?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Well, so
the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, isn't it?
yes.
Okay.
So the founder of the church that we belong to here in Colorado, that my mom belonged to whenever she found me, Dr. Drill, anyway, he is the one that retrieved the Emerald Tablets from the Yucatan, and he was given permission to do that. And so the reason that a lot of people have that book out, and I think it happened because it was supposed to be released to the public and it wasn't going to get, is because the copyright belongs to the church that I belong, that up here. So anyway, I just learned so much stuff. And because of everything I learned from our church, I knew what was going on with my boyfriend with the abduction, and I knew it wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
And I just know that anything of the light isn't going to be in your mind and do stuff and tell you stuff unless they don't do anything without your permission.
Yeah.
Things he was telling me, I knew they were not good. And you know what I mean? It just wasn't a good deal. And so we went through I learned a lot from him. So, I'll just say that.
Can I ask, the Emerald Tablets?
Yes.
What did the Emerald Tablets do? What were they capable of? I'm curious.
So what the Emerald Tablets is, it's an emerald like tablet that there's like an alchemy thing with it. And when you look at, there's two books, there's the Emerald Tablets, and then the translation, and it's Atlantean. On the front cover of the book is what the actual tablet looks like, and it has the writing on it that is I don't know, it looks like some kind of like symbols, and it's just Atlantis. So it's really awesome because when you read it, every time you read it, it gives you a different it's like how do I explain this? Every time you read it, were you going to say something? Yeah.
You mean every time you read it, you get a different interpretation, a different download? It's like you can't pin. It's one of these books. I'll go and get mine. I think it's just there. It's one of these books where you pick up and you read like a section, and then you have to sit for a month.
Yeah, right.
It's cool.
When you read it, you get a whole different, and that's what it's supposed to do.
I'll go and get mine to carry on. Okay.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Okay.
And it almost can take you into, like, if you were there. I mean, the first time I read it, it blew my mind. It really opened my mind to different things. It's like it awakens certain parts of you that have been asleep, know?
Wow. Oh, I need to get my hands on one of these. Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And there's a lot of different ones, and you can read it online, but it's not the same.
So who's taking over? Is this the person?
So that's what I'm talking about, but it's not the real one from the Brotherhood. It's the Brotherhood of the White Temple, which is what the church is called. And so Dr. Jareel, so when you read that book, though, it should give the explanation of where it came from and who found it, who retrieved it. And Dr. Jareel is the founder of the church that up here, that he's the one that did the original books that went and retrieved it and then translated it. And so there should be like two books. One, they probably have that one together in one, and then the copyright expired. And so then all of a sudden everybody started their own books.
I see. So what it says in the back of this is the history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond the belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. In the incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdom and also securely I read secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis.
Okay.
So that's fascinating. I'll be honest, I haven't even read all this book because there's bits I just picked up, and it's a little bit, yeah, it's a bit like picking up the Bible for me sometimes. The language in it, I can't always
Is there
understand.
a picture? Does it have a picture of the tablet anywhere?
See, I think the problem with this then is that they've probably all, they've put their own bits into it, haven't they? And
that's why I worry if it's not from the actual Brotherhood.
No, it's not even a picture of the tablets in it at all.
Yeah, that's odd.
So if you were to go buy one, make sure that it's from the Council of Brotherhood, the Emerald Tablet.
Well, it's called the Brotherhood of the White Temple, and it's out of Sedalia, Colorado.
Right. Okay.
Can you purchase them? Can you purchase it from there? Can you purchase it from there? Yeah.
Yeah, they have all kinds of books, and it's funny. So the Brotherhood, that the church, that all the stuff that's going on right now is everything that they taught, that I could never talk about to everybody else because they thought we were nuts. They talked about the blue race, they talked about the giants, they explained about UFOs, they talked about the serpent race, all of it. And here we are.
Wow. And interestingly enough, I think this is why some of these metaphysical establishments were circled as cults, because they didn't want people to, they wanted to know that's wrong, and religion's right. And listen, don't get me wrong, there are some, I've watched some documentaries and I've been like, whoa, because some people are so the cults that are real cults, right? They from I've never experienced it, but from what I viewed, is they leech on to people who are so vulnerable, and that's how they get them in. So it was misused, and I think that was allowed to happen. This is just my personal experience, because when you have another metaphysical, it's very hard to put a word on it, isn't it? Because you don't want to label it. But like your church, let's say, when they do have truth there, the other side were always wanting to tell, well, that's wrong. You can't believe in that, and you can't believe in that and be Christian, because you can't believe in Jesus and God, and that has to be wrong. Somebody's made that up, and that's the work of the devil. That's the point that I'm trying to get to. So I think
because you have to look outside for power instead of looking within. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, everybody. So we would have to have somebody up there on the weekends and at Halloween and stuff, because everybody in town would go and take their girlfriends up there to scare them and tell them all these horror stories. Like, I mean, it was just, they made it out to be such a scary thing back then. It was just unheard of,
No, the church itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But, and then we would, when I first moved up there, I actually went to work at the print shop. So we would do all the books and all that stuff. And people would call and think that we were, oh God, what is it called? White supremacy or something. They would call, and we were like, no, we had members all over the world, Asia, I mean, everywhere. And everyone is accepted. It's not like a white, because of the name, because they just think that white Brotherhood of the White Temple is like some kind of, I don't know. It was crazy.
As such, it's a
because the division's been put there, isn't it? And again, very, very cleverly put, like the cult thing, like the religion thing, like it's just all been put to divide, when certainly from what you're telling me it was all about unity and getting this knowledge out to people to help them to understand what was happening.
Right. So anyway, that I learned a lot of stuff being in that church and whatever that got me through this other stuff with my boyfriend. And I think that was really kind of my awakening. Is we moved to Taos, New Mexico, my boyfriend and I, and had a lot of, so the stars, this is going to probably sound really crazy to other people, but the stars would come and fly. They would draw in the sky. And I tried to like give Mark a little note just to let him know that I've been watching that. I thought they were drawing letters. So my boyfriend and I would get a piece of paper and I would try to draw what they were. I couldn't figure it out. So my boyfriend, being that he's attached, he's like connected to these whatever now, he gets a piece of paper out. And so he goes up on the hill by our apartment and he comes back with this drawing. And so what it looks like is if you were up in the sky and you were looking down on somebody sitting on the ground with their baseball cap turned backwards, drawing, that's what this drawing was.
Wow.
It was crazy. And he said he couldn't even control, he was just drawing. He didn't even, it just kind of took control of his hand. That's what the picture was.
That's like, we see you. We're trying to let you know that we see you.
Yeah. So we would go out at night and we would draw the stars. We would just try and draw whatever they were drawing. And it was weird because it was always look like a bunch of little cartoon characters. I mean, there's no way to even describe it. But
you still have the drawings? Did you keep them?
I have that one somewhere and I came across it, I don't know, probably a year or two ago. And I still have some. I can still go out and draw, but I don't have the same effect as the way he draws them. It's different when he does it, but they definitely had a spot in his head for a while.
That's interesting because with you saying that you were drawing like cartoon characters, memory just popped into my head when I was younger that I used to speak to cartoon characters on the wall. Like they used to jump out the wall and they used to speak to me, but I can't remember what they used to say, but they used to just, I remember it clear as day. They used to come out the wall and speak to me, and that kept going up until I was about 10. So I was like, that's making me think, that's interesting. If you know what I mean, like it was cartoon characters, is it a connection?
Just goofy looking, like string, like almost, I mean, they almost like if you had a string and you were making cartoon characters and they all connected.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And, or like if you look at the clouds, it's the same thing in the clouds.
Yeah.
And I think the clouds draw pictures for people all the time.
Yeah.
They're alive. I mean, so it's so awesome. And I just love it. Everybody thinks I'm nuts. It's all right, No,
you're in good company here.
No. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad because I've been watching the stars moving around for a very long time. And when I lived in Taos, I would drive back and forth. It's like a 4-hour drive from here, Taos, New Mexico. And so I would always try to drive at night because whenever I would, the stars. So I think that this is really crazy. The stars are different here where I live now than they are in New Mexico. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but before we moved, I mean, I've seen them come down. They would come down and fly next to my car. I'm not kidding. It sounds so. And so there was a few times I remember like on a road trip at night driving between the two because it's like a big space of, there's no cities or anything like that. And I remember looking over and it was like a bubble, but I would never stare at it. I don't know why I never really looked. I just didn't want it to go away, or I don't know why I didn't look that hard, but it was like I could see this bubble and there was a light in the middle. And I know there was a being in there. I don't know if now I'm questioning, was it another being or was it myself?
Ooh.
I just don't know. I don't understand what it was.
Hello and welcome to Awakening Stories, part 2 with Spiritual Sunshine. Once again, we have been talking for about the past 50 minutes. We've all hit the giggles, and I couldn't afford for us to be laughing for another 10 minutes just hysterically at each other. So I've just pressed record in the hope that we're all getting settled. So let me just explain. So this time last Friday, we were happily recording. We were getting to a really interesting, like, juicy bit. And I had another storm and my electricity went out and, well, I disappeared, basically. So
into another dimension.
and I think it's probably because of what we were talking about. They're like, oh, shut it down. Shut it down. So this is take 2. You know, take 2. So reintroducing the beautiful Candace, Spiritual Sunshine in the house. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back.
Oh my gosh.
So I think where we got up to was when you were talking about the stars in the sky and they were coming down and you weren't sure whether it was yourself or whether it was an being, and you didn't actually really, I think what you said was that you don't know why, but you didn't actually really look at it, you know, to kind of analyze what it was. It just was, and you just kind of accepted it. And I think I started talking about something else, but I've taken that away because it won't make sense. So I think we're basically there. Yeah, we're there. So,
yeah. So,
and you were saying about the stars were different and where you lived before to where you are now.
Yeah,
so was that happening? Did that only happen where you are now? Did that not happen?
Oh no, it happened. Yeah, it happened there too, but they were different stars because you could feel them. I could feel them. In my boyfriend at the time, he really was tuned into them a lot, but it was just so bizarre because when we moved, so he went ahead of me and I got in the car, you know, we were moving our stuff. So he had a moving truck and then I had my car, but I was like a day behind him, a night behind him, because I left at night so I could watch the stars because I was weird like that. And I had one that flew with me. It was like not right next to my car, but it traveled with me almost all the way there.
Was that a particular color?
Yeah.
No.
So they're just like light?
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Light.
Like, okay.
And I know, like, you can look at the stars and it looks like they're moving with you anyway, but this was different. And it would go off, you know, it would be like to the side and it would just go with me. But then when we got there, we could tell that they were different. They're not the same stars. Even though they look the same, the constellations are the same, they're different. And I mean, that probably sounds weird to people. And they're going to say, you can look at a telescope and look out and look at the stars out in the universe. And I believe there's probably stars out in the universe. I'm not saying that there's not, but I think that the ones that I see, maybe the ones that people see when they look up, are in our atmosphere. I know they are. I used to sit in my car and I had a sunroof, and I would sit in my car and I would be really still and not move. And I would look at, so that I would have the edge of like the sunroof, so I could like have a point, something that was still, and I would watch the constellations, right? I would watch the stars, and everything would move together in the sky as time, you know, as time went, because everything moves, but each individual star was moving around. Does that make sense?
It was a star roof.
Yeah, not a sunroof, a star roof. Yeah,
star roof.
It was a star roof.
I totally, where I am right now is I believe that I don't know if it's a dome, but I think there's something that prevents us from leaving. So I don't believe that craft, UFOs, light ships, whatever you want to call them, I don't believe they come from way out there and through here down like we're told they are, or how we believe they are. I think they come through portal systems and Stargate systems.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was it the other
Agreed.
night? I felt there's, do you know the plow? The plow? Yep. I feel that there's a portal in between the plow, because I saw something coming out of the plow and it moved really quickly.
The plow?
It looked, yeah, the plow, you know, the star constellation, and it looked like a star. But I also heard, I don't know where I've heard it, but it's coming into my mind, that stars, are they not like guardians? Are they not guardians that they come?
That's what I think. That I think they're guardians of the earth. And they come out from under the ground at night. Sounds, because I've seen them. I think this is what I was talking about, but I don't know if we were on air or off record. I don't remember last time.
No, I was talking about how I've seen them. I don't think it was recorded, no.
We talked about it.
I'm talking about so much, you can't remember what's been recorded was. And anyway, put it for yourselves, so what? It must be really important information if we need to hear it twice, right?
That's right. So one night, it was like sunset. Mm-hmm. And I was driving by where we lived, and this is when it was really, really active, like right after all this stuff, probably 6 months after all this stuff started happening to us. And I saw a star come out of the ground, but it was dim, but I could see it. And it came out of the ground, and as it went up, it's like it got brighter. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
you're talking about on the horizon. I'm just trying to.
It wasn't even that far. No, it wasn't even that far. Okay, like it was like there was a huge hill in these apartments we used to live in, right. And when I say not far, it was probably like maybe a couple of miles. Okay, maybe if that far. Not even. No, it wasn't
coming out of like the ground rather than it rising from the horizon is what I'm trying to.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to get.
Yeah, at. I don't know why I said a couple of miles, because it wasn't that far. It was probably, I'm not good at distances, but it wasn't far at all. Like I could see.
Like you could walk to it.
Yeah. 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 So I started to notice that that's what would happen. So they come out of the ground, I would say invisible, like you can't see them. And then as they go up, they get brighter because they dim down. And then they get brighter. It's bizarre. And so and if they come down at night, like if they're up in the sky, because they used to do this all the time and probably still would. I don't go out that much anymore. But like if they're up in the sky and they're bright, you can see it, it'll come down and it only takes like a second. But when they do, they dim down, or else they would be super bright right in front of you, right? Because they have to be bright for you to see them way up. Yeah. But they're in our atmosphere.
That's fascinating, because I've always wondered, why can you not see the stars during the day?
And I have. So there's been times that I would be driving from here to Taos, and I would always drive, like I say, I always drive at night. And there's times I would pull over and watch. I just was really obsessed with them for, that whole time. But I know there was one time that if I watched, there would be a star that would follow me the whole way, and the sun would be out, and it would still be there until I got home. It was crazy. It was so crazy. Or if I would sit and pull over and say if it was, I don't know what time, but right before the sun comes up, if I would be out there and start drawing what the stars were doing in my car, as long as I was still drawing, that star was still up there. I could still see it. All the other stars would go away, but I would still be able to see that one star.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
And could that be could it be a frequency thing? Could it be that other people, don't see that because they're
They
not at
don't.
that frequency.
Mm.
Like it doesn't exist to them because it's not in their reality. This is a conversation I've been having a lot recently, actually, as we, you know, as we lift frequency and we go these different timelines, and you know, there's people that have just disappeared from your life, right? You must have had somebody that's just disappeared, and you don't ever see them again, like
Right.
in a strange. And I suppose you don't even really think about it. When you do think about it, you're like, whoa, like they just disappear. I've had a lot of that. You know what I mean? A lot of people have left my life over the past 3 years or so. Anyway, but in fact, I think it was Neo I was speaking with, and I think he'd asked me, what do you think is going to happen then? And I says, well, how do we know that, like, we could be in the supermarket, for example, right? And these people could be of a lower frequency, and they might still be in the supermarket, but I can't see them because they're at a different frequency, and they can't see me because I'm at that frequency.
Yep. Well, and I think that our earth is that way as well, that there's different, God, I can't think of the verbiage for it, but like there's a completely different, I don't know if it's a planet, but a different, on a whole different dimension or different, whatever, there's a whole nother world that exists in the same space that we're in with different people. But that's why, like, if we had we can't blow ourselves up. They can't let us blow ourselves up because it would actually affect that other space, time, space, or whatever it's called. Yeah. I believe that.
There was, do you know how you
should sit in our seat line. Hold in.
So remember you were talking about supermarket and frequency. I had a dream about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and I was in the supermarket, right? And there was all this commotion, and there was people going to the front window. And when you looked out the window onto the car park, there was these people standing in front of their cars, and they were just focused on their windscreen. And I remember going, right, what's going on? So I remember going out, and I remember they were just still, and it was like everything was still, and I was walking through these people, and I remember going, what are they seeing? So I then came to my car, and I looked at the windscreen, and on the windscreen was this massive rainbow. So I was like, that's right, I can fly. So then I started flying, right? And I got told how to fly. So I started flying, and I looked up, and I could see what everybody else could see. And I could see all the rainbows on their windscreen. So they were focused on this windscreen. And it was like they were getting all these downloads. Then I heard, it's always a male that spoke to me, and he said, the people that can see the rainbows, they will jump. The people that can't see, they will be behind.
Oh.
And will be in another thing. And then I woke up going, holy shit, I can fly. And I was like, sorry. But yeah, it was.
You could be teaching us. We've just been speaking for 50 minutes prior to this, and you never once taught us how to fly. Are you feeling a little bit left out here, spiritual sunshine? Because I'm like, I mean, we were having a good conversation, but she knows how to fly, and she hasn't shared.
Yeah, and then I got told the other day there, I was walking through my hallway, and I had my Merlin wand, and I got told, stop, bring the wand to you. So I start.
Oh, you're using the force?
I was like, the force is with me. So I'm standing there, like, come to me, wand.
I believe if you believe that, that'll happen. You need to absolutely believe it.
Oh, I believe it, and I could see it, like, hop into my hand, and then, oh, it was phenomenal. Yeah, it was. And I was like, I am going to grab this one. It was mental.
Oh.
It's so much fun. But anyway, just what you saying, supermarket vibration, I felt I had to get that out.
That's cool though. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. But because that's, you know, with the stars, I know that it's the same thing. Cause I've been like, hey, don't you see that star? Do you see that moving? Do you see it? And they're like, yeah. No. And I'm going, I'm telling you, it's going all over the place. And they don't see anything. They think I'm like, oh, whatever. I see it.
It's different realities, isn't it? Different belief systems as well. When you were saying about the plough, Kerry, so the plough is normally kind of, I don't know if it's normal because it moves about. But anyway, you go out my back door, and that's where we've witnessed, like there was one night, Candace, when you were talking about the battle that you've seen in the sky, this is what this reminded me of, but it was a very short space of time, and it was in the plough, Kerry.
Okay.
And I actually shouted to the neighbour to come out and see this so that we had somebody else witness what we were seeing. But they were spiritual, right? So it was moving about, different colours, turned different colours, and then there was flashes start going by it, like, oh. We're like, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? So yeah, fascinating. And there's some people can, but maybe we also have this mechanism, don't we, of fear. So perhaps people can't see it because they have some kind of fear about it. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Spiritual sunshine.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's second nature to me because it's been such a long time, but I know for some people, but like I hear stuff on Mark's channel and I'm like, oh, I've seen that. And I just sit here and I can't tell anybody. So it's
Tell us.
Yeah.
I've told people, but they think I'm crazy. So that's all right. But I know I'm not. I just love them. And I mean, this is really cool. But so when I lived in Taos, we lived in an earth ship, which is, off grid. It was the coolest little house. And we lived down this long dirt road. So whenever I would go to the store, no matter where I went, if it was at night when I came home, they would come down and they would like follow my car till I got home. And I mean, it sounds, but so I don't know if there's different I just don't know. It's so weird because I know there's orbs, there's stars, I don't know what the difference is in any of these things, but
could it be that perhaps they're all the same thing? It's just that we witness it with whatever we feel comfortable with.
Maybe.
So whereas I feel a dragon, right? Somebody else could feel it's a orb or a, is it just how our perceptions are formed because of our belief systems and because of the constructs that we allow within our reality,
Well, I think that
hold on, Candace.
Oh,
you lived in an earth ship?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Was so awesome. It was so cool. It was the coolest. Yeah. And we were totally off grid.
Right, make one.
I
want to make an earth ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool place, and they're so pretty. I mean, if you Google it or whatever and look at just images, and especially in New Mexico, because they're like adobe, so they're made out of tires and bottles, and and you can make shapes of anything you want. They're just beautiful. Yeah, there's some really beautiful ones. They have an Earthship community out there, a whole area of just, it's awesome.
And they all have their own like ecological systems within the Earthships. Like there's Earthships growing bananas. Like just and it has its own water. I mean, it's in the middle of the desert, right? And it's got its own water system. Like it recycles water, and you can just like go up in the morning, and before you go out your front door, you can just pick like a banana off your tree, and then just go outside and eat your banana off your on the off-grid Earthship. Like, so when you said I lived in an Earthship, I'm like, you lived in an Earthship. Like I watched Earthship stuff for like days and days, and I'm like, I want to live in an Earthship.
Oh, it was the coolest thing, but it was so weird because my ex-boyfriend could see stuff, and so it had on one side was in the ground, and it was like the tires and all that stuff, and then the other side was all windows, and it looked out on the mesa, and you could see the it was just the most beautiful sunsets and sunrises and stuff. But at night, And so we would go out there with the telescope at night and watch the stars and the moon and all that crazy stuff in the reservation. And my boyfriend was like, there's little people out there, you know, and I couldn't see them. But whenever I would go in at night, in the middle of the night, I could watch my car would start moving. Like they were, I was just imagining they're out there like pushing the car, like, cause they're really would be mischievous and stuff, you know? And I could see my car shake, like they would, cause I had a little car, but I would watch it moving, like they were playing around out there.
Can I ask Candace, how little's little? How do you know how little they are?
I don't know. I think they were probably like, maybe like this or something. I don't know exactly.
How tall are you, Candace? Can I ask?
I'm 5'5".
Right, so they could be about 4'10" and a half, which is my height. So maybe that's my tribe.
There was just lots of Kerrys. You know, I could see you doing that, Kerry, jumping off your ship and going, let's really mess them up and move their car about. Go. Take a wheel off and wave it in front of them.
Oh my gosh.
What's fascinating about that is that I've been coming across these little people, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it here. And the name for them. And there's a channel that showed a video. Do you know, if I was really tech savvy, I could pull it up here. Maybe for the next one. Of these people caught them. Oh, you two talk for a little minute, right? Okay. You just carry on. Right. And I'm going to try and find this and show you, because honestly, it's like, whoa, what you're talking about, right?
Wow. Yeah, he would see them all the time. And they were always, every night. But I just think that they were mischievous. But we lived out, you know, it was just out on the mesa. So there was nothing but jackrabbits and little sagebrush. And he could tell you what they looked like. But I never actually saw what their faces and stuff. But I think they were probably like a foot high, maybe. That's what I imagine.
But they've been like hairy. Hairy. These things are little, like they're kind of human but not human, and they're small and they're like hairy.
Well, maybe not my type. I certainly am not hairy. And the last time I checked, I was pretty human. I've been lied to all this time. They found me there.
Hey, you're in a human body right now. A human one. Oh, here it is. I found the place. Right, Mind Unveiled it is. Okay. And are they called the cryptids? You ever heard of the cryptids?
Oh
no.
I'm not being funny, but it rings a bell. I'm not being funny. I'm not.
It rings a bell because it was Kerry. Right, hold on. Cryptids. They're called the cryptids.
Wow.
And they apparently were a Tartarian race.
Ooh.
And you get like Bigfoot, so they're like an offshoot of Bigfoot, but they're little feet. What I'll do is, I don't know if I'll be able to do that at the end of this, right? I'll put in a little clip, and then I'll have to tag in where I found it and all that as well. So you can watch it and know what I'm talking about rather than taking up time here. But that's what I'll do, just so that you can see what I'm talking, because these things come up, don't they? I don't know if this is how this works for you guys, but these things come up and I'm like, never heard of that before. And then I read something and it's talking about the thing that's just come up and I'm like, whoa, and then you're talking about this and I'm like, whoa, I think that's, all the things come together. So,
well, I've been looking for somebody that knew anything about any of this stuff for the last 20 years and nobody, 18 years, I guess, or something. And nobody, and so just slowly here the last couple of years, a little bit more stuff is coming out, and it's just like, I haven't even, it's just a relief. It's a relief. And to hear about watching the I saw, now I can't remember where it was, but I know Mark was talking about the giant on the hill, the hill that's the giant, and I saw the sleeping giant. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And it looks just like a giant laying down sleeping, but it's, yeah. I was like, I knew that shit was true. I knew it. And I like these rocks. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So it's just nice to hear stuff from somewhere else that it's not.
The mud flood, you know, if nobody's looked into that, I'll let you figure that one out yourself. Titanium mud flood. You know, but I believe there, you know, there's been so much happen in this plane that we have absolutely no idea of.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can tell that it's been run by ego because we think that it's all about us. You know what I mean? It's just, we've got to be the only, human has to be the only one in the whole multiverse that's ever existed. Yeah. We have to be it. There can't be anything else. There can't be, because we are human.
Even though there's planets everywhere, but we don't think that any, there's nothing, no, we're the only ones.
I even think about like the animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do they come from? How do we know they're not aliens? How do we know they're not from another planet? You know, humans, are humans actually from Earth? Have we been, you know, there's so much, but we're just like, you're the only ones, you're the human race, you dominate everything. When the truth of the matter is, we're probably the smallest we have ever been in our existence.
Yep.
We are like smaller than the little, you know, gnat sort of rat's back, right? We used to be like massive beings, and now we're the smallest we've ever been. We're sitting in the ego thinking that, you know, we're the only ones, you know. We are the dominant race and the most intelligent.
Shit.
I would have to argue with that.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you know Men in Black at the end, where they've got the two star beings with their bag of marbles? Hold on, am I here?
We can hear you. You've just frozen. You've frozen like that. Oh, and like that.
We froze.
Oh, you're back.
Right. I was like freezing like everybody else.
I was doing it with you, Kerry, so you didn't feel left out, you know.
Right. Yeah, right. What I was saying, there's two star beings with a bag of marbles, and the marbles are all the galaxies, and then one of the marbles is the Earth, and the whole, you know, that bit. That's what I keep seeing in Third Eye when you're mentioning that. It's like the two star beings are the big, but yeah, that's amazing. Sorry, I just had to put that in.
It's in all these movies, right? You know.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yep.
So anything's possible, I believe. Yeah. So, you know, Candace, when you're going, oh, this sounds crazy, I'm like, it sounds completely plausible.
Yeah.
And you're talking my language, girl. You know, keep talking.
God, it's wild. Yeah. Yep.
So when you were living in these Earthships, and then you lived in there, I think we're going to have to do another recording at some point, because we're nearly... yeah, so from the Earthships and then these experiences, did it stop when you and your ex kind of parted ways, or did that keep going?
It definitely slowed down when we came, because I had to come back to Colorado, and I left him there, and then he ended up coming back here to Colorado as well. I mean, it's still there, but I don't go out and look as much as I used to, because I go to bed a lot earlier now. I go to bed a lot earlier now.
Yeah, I don't see the stars either, you know.
Yeah. And it's funny this morning, because so here it was 3. I had to get up at 3. And so I looked, so every morning, every morning I get up and there's the morning star. It's that time of the year. So the morning star is like right behind me. So I go out, and every morning I open the door to let my dog out, and I look for it. And it's right there. And this morning it was the moon, but it was huge. So I was like, I forgot what time it was. And it was the moon. But yeah, I always look at it, and I always say hi and I love you. And then I come back inside because it's cold here. But
what do you think about the moon?
Okay. I don't know, but there was a time when we lived in the Earth ship and we had the telescope out because my ex-boyfriend had the telescope out all the time. He was always out there. And they didn't look like the stars, looked like little bitty faces jumbled around. I don't know if you've ever looked in a telescope at the star, but it's like a big ball of energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's not what you think it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. But so the moon, this one night, my friend had come from Colorado to visit. And so we were up and it was really late and we were out looking at the moon, and the moon looked like you know how an orange peel has little divots all in it?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And we were out there for a long time watching, and the stars. So as the sun was starting to, I guess, come up, or it was getting closer to morning, the stars were jumping onto the moon. It was bizarre. Wow. It was so bizarre. And then, like I said, we lived, like, you could see the Indian reservation, like, out in front of us, you know, and the stars would come down. When the sun starts coming up, the stars go down. But they were jumping. They were like, it's like they were playing. I mean, it sounds so weird, but they were jumping onto the moon, and it was just. So I don't know what the moon is. I don't know what it's just
nothing
weird.
is what we've been told it is. I mean, that's all I know.
No, but there's times that when it's really, really close, I feel like I could just touch it. You know?
Yeah. And I've seen pictures of clouds behind the sun. How do you get clouds behind the sun? Like the sky isn't what we.
It's not. And how do the stars come out underneath the clouds when it's cloudy? And there's sometimes at night when it's a clear sky, but there's no stars. Where are the stars? I don't know. I think maybe they're having a meeting. Maybe they have to be somewhere and they have a conference or something. I don't know.
Myself and my partners realized that. It's like, oh, they've turned the stars off tonight. There's no stars in the sky. Oh, they're back on. Like, yeah.
Yep.
And it's just like a mist rather than a cloud. Is that what you mean?
No, like the sky's completely clear, but there's no stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
So
no
cool.
Stars at all. That's weird.
So cool.
Yeah, and we've had, and they can come down almost like what you would imagine, like a fairy or something, like right in front of you. I mean, I've had them come down. They come down from out of the sky and come down, and they'll hide like they're in the bushes, but they're really dim. But it's because you know that they're there, and they're so close. They can come down so close.
It's like they're monitoring you somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like they want you to look.
Candace, I'm gonna stop you there just because we're gonna have to do a 21 parts Candace's story, which is beautiful. So this is, what age roughly is this taking us up to?
What year?
In your awakening story, yeah.
What year is this stuff happening? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Just so that we can kind of take a mental note where we were and where we're moving on to from here.
So from here, I mean, it started in like 2003 is when all that stuff started for me. Okay. I think it was, 2003. Okay. So a long time ago, up to now. And that wasn't even what I was going to talk about, but.
We'll have to do that in the next one. If you want to come back.
I would love to come back, but I don't know. I don't think anybody, it's not as entertaining for everybody else as it is for some of us.
Well, I'm not here to provide entertainment. I'm just saying, it's not an entertainment channel. This is real spiritual awakening stuff we're talking about here, you know. And listen, if people want to watch it, they watch it. If people don't want to watch it, they don't watch it. But you know, I'm learning and I'm enjoying speaking to you and I'm enjoying hearing about your story. So
yeah, it's fun.
that's what it's about.
Exciting.
And are you getting something from it? Because that's what that's about also. You know, when we talk about these things, it can be a healing process. So is it helping you?
Well, and if anybody, it is, and if anybody else, if it rings true to somebody else and they have crazy stuff too like that, I would love to hear about it, because I'm telling you, I love this. This stuff is so fun.
Well, then
It's just
how
so
do they
interesting.
contact you then if they want to leave an
Um,
email?
I never check my emails, so I'm pretty bad at that. But
Telepathically, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to telepathically send Spiritual Sunshine a message, and you know what? Maybe for the next one, if you wanted, you could set up a separate email. So that one that you would check every now and again, just to see if anybody did want to have a conversation with you. How about that?
I mean, they could email me, and then, I mean, I have been checking it more lately, but, and they would just have to put like Spiritual Sunshine in the what is it called, in the
So you don't put it in the trash.
right, because most of them go in the trash.
You actually read it and don't just delete it.
Right.
Well, do you want to do that then?
Yeah. So it's my email is hardcorefinish@msn.com.
Hardcore. Sorry, that's the kind of music I used to listen to when I was younger.
Yeah.
HARDCORE.
Finish.
FI. Is that 2 N's?
No, just one.
ISH at
msn.com.
msn.com. There you go. If you want to share one of these stories, you don't have to do it telepathically. It's okay. You can help up an email, but what you'll need to do is in the title bar, put Spiritual Sunshine.
Yes.
And she won't delete you. Hopefully.
Oh my gosh.
Spiritual Sunshine, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to the next installment. Oh, I've got the socks on. Hold on.
Yay!
Look at my back.
I didn't see it. Did you show us? I didn't see it.
Oh, come on. You just want me to do that again, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't
wait.
Sorry.
I'll take a picture of that. One's says sun and the other one says shine. Sunshine.
Oh,
They're my spiritual sunshine.
that's cool. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
There you go. Okay, on that note, everyone who's still watching this, thank you for being here. I don't know about anybody who's watching this, but I'm having a ball.
Yes.
So thank you, girls.
Thank
Oh,
you.
my
It's been a wonderful
goodness.
couple of
I
hours
love
spent
you
with
too.
Love you. And yeah, guys, if you're watching, we'll get another installment, a spiritual sunshine installment, we'll call it. Waiting its way to whenever the three of us can get back into a space together. Maybe we'll start recording.
Or maybe we'll have to do like the Taylor Moon and in JD and stuff, or something like what we were mentioning before.
Yeah, we could do like
just
I don't like the word round table, but just like a get together. But we want to hear
Or
about
we
your
could get
story.
JC on too, and we could just have a coffee talk with the girls.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
She's very busy. But
bet
yeah,
she
that
is.
would be great. We'll get something organized.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for now, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for being with
Bye.
us today.
Love you.
Bye. Okay, so I'm just adding this at the end just to show you what I was talking about. Let me see if I can do this. I can do this. How do I screen share again? Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So the channel here is Mind Unveiled, and they've got some really cool videos on here, actually. Now, if you look here, look, what is this? Looks hairy. You know, this is the person on the bike, so smaller, hairy. Now I'm going to let you tail. Looks like it might have like some kind of horns. You make your own mind up about this, right? But let's just take it back so you can watch the video. This part here. Oh, it's going to give you an advert. Okay.
Going on, and I think we'll have the right to ask questions.
So watch this. Look. The guy's falling off. I don't know where this is in the world. Watch up here, keep watching. Runs off. Now there's a trail there. There's a trail. You can see there's a trail there. So this is in Indonesia. And what it says here is many insist that it could be a man from the legendary Manti tribe. You guys can watch this yourself, okay? It's Hey Little Person Caught on Tape, and it's Mind Unveiled, right? They do have another one. Let me see if I can find that one for you. Oh, so this one was quite fascinating, right?
Exploring ideas here. Also, I totally first saw it on the Jade video that I the cryptid video. Well, you can think that. Sort of.
Let me see if we can get there. Right, so now make this what you will.
Creatures near the cave.
What's this? What's this? Humanoid creatures cover up, also the same channel. So this was apparently viral 2 years ago. Just turn that volume down a little bit. So this was apparently viral. He's like, what's going on? And it seems to be a group of tourists stumbling upon some strange creature performing some type of ritual, right? So you guys can check that out yourself. Couple of interesting videos there if you want to watch them. I'll pop links in the description also. Thank you very much to that channel for bringing out that information. So I'll pop the links in the description. Yeah, and thank you once again for watching.